Hey everyone, welcome to Judging for the Win. I'm Dave, and this is my daily ruling. Today's question comes to us from the Judging for the Win Discord. Thanks to Dragon Man for this one. Amy plays a Banefire to deal 5 damage to Nick while he controls Angel of Suffering. Does Nick still lose life? Does he still mill cards? Alright, so to answer this question, we'll need this rule here, which says that even though Banefire's damage cannot be prevented, any applicable prevention effects are still applied. And this will not result in any of the damage actually being prevented, but the other effects specified by those prevention effects still happen. This answers our question. Nick will take 5 and mill 10. Ouch. Now, I normally don't like questions like this because they raise the related question of, well, what am I going to talk about for the next few minutes? But with this sort of thing, there's actually a lot of variations on this theme that are worded in a slightly different way that affects the answer. So let's take a look. Imagine Amy had played that Banefire against Nick's Grizzly Bears while he controlled a Vigor. Now, using that same rule from earlier, we can see that Vigor's prevention effect will still apply to this event. Nick's Grizzly Bears will still take 5 because Banefire's damage cannot be prevented, but the rest of Vigor's effect will still happen, meaning Grizzly Bears will get 0 +1/+1 counters put on it since that's how much damage got prevented this way. Well, next up, let's say Amy plays a Banefire for 5 against Nick, and he responds with Divine Deflection, also for 5. Well, Divine Deflection cannot prevent any of Banefire's damage, meaning that Nick will still take 5. Divine Deflection also says that it only gets to deal its own damage if damage is prevented this way, which it wasn't, so Nick does not get to deal any damage back. But that's not the end of the story. It might look like Nick wasted his Divine Deflection here, since the next X damage that would be dealt to him and his permanents could not have been prevented. But someone on Magic's rules team clearly got burned by this one because we also have this part of this rule here, which says that damage prevention shields are not exhausted by damage that cannot be prevented. In other words, if some preventable source deals damage to Nick or any of his permanents later on in that turn, the Divine Deflection will still be around, ready to prevent up to 5 of it. And just like normal, damage prevented that way will allow Nick to deal that much damage to whatever target he chose while he was casting that Divine Deflection. If you'd like more practice with this topic, I talked about a similar interaction in my video about how the Mind Skinner interacts with replacement and prevention effects. You might also be interested in my video on Stomp and Soul Scar Mage. But that's all I have for you today. How did you do? Join me again next time for another daily ruling. Until then, I hope you have a great day.